And you are listening to WOJB 88.9 FM, listener supported community radio. And we are being joined by, let me see if I pronounce this right, Agria. It is Agria Grigorian. Is that correct?
Ariga, Ariga Grigorian, very close.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And Amber from the Lakota Ojibwe University. She keeps popping in and out of our discussion here, but uh, Ariga, why don't you start off and talk about the strategic planning course that's being planned for individual businesses and organizations? What is this all about?
Thank you so much, Mark, for having us this morning. So, this is a course that we were planning to put on for a while. And this is strategic plan is a process where organizations define their vision, mission, and identify their future organizational goals and objectives. It's a process that organizations go through that helps them make decisions, allocate resources, and attain their strategic goals and implement them. Usually, the process can be 2 year strategic plan or can be from 2 to 5. And usually, extension educators do this type of processes. And Amber and I, as extension educators, decided to teach this skill to anyone who would like to know, to learn about it. And they can conduct their own strategic plan within their own organizations if they choose to, or they can learn the skill and work with organizations, businesses, or governments to do this type of work as consultants.
Sure, sure. So, how do you start this process? Because it can be daunting for some organizations to think about a 1 year plan, a 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, and have all that stuff. And you can't really predict the future, but you can build a roadway, if you will, or some sort of pathway for this business to follow, even though things may change throughout the upcoming years.
That's excellent question, and that's true. So strategic plan can be a fluid process. That's why organizations like to go through that. And even if they have any strategic plan, they can update. Usually, it requires different like identification of or review of vision, mission, and values. Are they still in that process? Are they still up to date? Did anything change within the organization? The second would be, and Amber, I'm not sure if she might be able to join. She was going to cover the SWOT analysis. So they assess their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Understand what changed within the organization, what are the opportunities, and what would be the
Mhm.
threats. Usually, one of the examples within the threats funding is something that always comes up. Local organizations always seek for funding and trying to understand what would be their next steps to secure those funding
Sure.
resources, and how to create that sustainability so that they can accomplish the goals and objectives of their organizations. And just reflecting a little bit, Amber and I also teach grant writing course, and that part of it, to receive
Oh.
funding, uh,
Mhm.
to receive funding, usually organizations do need to have something like strategic plan in place, because then that it helps them financial, what would be their financial operation, okay, what is their financial goals for the next few steps. And part of that would be grant writing, for example, if it's for local nonprofits or local governments.
Sure. And is grant writing part of this coursework and the exercises, or is that something different that you mentioned that Amber and you teach?
We have been teaching the grant writing course for the past 4 or 5 years, and I can see Amber joining. And
Yeah,
and it's kind of weaving in. It will not be part of the strategic planning course, but we cover that it's important to have that financial financial vision, financial outlook, I would say, for the future, and how the organizations are planning to move forward to secure that sustainability.
Yeah. So a strategic plan is basically a roadmap of what that organization is going to be going through for. Again, I've always been taught to do a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and maybe a 10 year, but it's enough just to do 1, 3, 5. What is there any sort of what am I thinking of? Let's say COVID hits again, and all of a sudden it kind of messes with every single organization, business, and individual. Is there a secondary plan or a backup plan, a contingency? That was the word I was looking for. Do you deal with contingency plans?
Mark, this is Amber. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Oh, no
But
problem.
I would say that the contingency part would come under the SWOT analysis. That's part of the strategic plan. So when
Okay.
you're looking at, the strengths of your organization, what are the things that are working well, and then looking at the weaknesses. So that contingency part can be, a part of that plan, but also looking at what possible threats might be. So we'll go through all of those items in the course and make sure that everyone has a good foundation to understand kind of what those are. But yes, having like an emergency plan, a contingency plan would be a part of the overall strategic plan.
Yeah. Ariga mentioned SWOT yeah, and you mentioned it. What does that stand for, and what's that?
Yeah, so it's the acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So really looking at that from the lens of your organization. So again, as far as how your clients or your stakeholders see your organization, as far as how you're helping them, how you're helping the community. So again, what are the strengths that you're bringing? What are your weaknesses? What are those opportunities? Again, for kind of that future direction, and then kind of wrapping up with those threats. So maybe what's your who's your competition? What would be anything that would be kind of holding the organization back? Again, kind of that contingency plan.
Sure, sure. And either one of you can answer this. Now, on the brochure, it says for individuals, businesses, and organizations. Are we looking for in the business or organization realm? Is this for board members? Is this for the executive director of organizations? Who does this really target, and what's it for?
That's a great question, and I would say it definitely targets anyone in the organization, and even stakeholders. That you want to be involved more in the community. But again, board members, staff, anyone that has a stakeholder piece of that organization, it would definitely be relevant for them. So again, kind of looking at how your organization just starts out. How do you develop a mission statement, a vision statement? Again, all those kind of driving forces of what makes your organization unique, as far as again, what you're offering back. What are those things that you're giving back to the community? And again, just providing that structure in a plan that then you're able to implement that. And it's kind of set up. It runs parallel a lot to grant writing. And one of the things that I always bring up in our grant writing course is that it's grant writing, a lot of times we get in this mindset that we're chasing funds and we're chasing money, and we need funds to operate. And really, when you have to take a step back from that and figure out what your organization, what is driving the organization, what are your goals, what are your objectives overall, and then seek out the funds to meet those goals and objectives. So that kind of happened for us at the university. I would say probably about 13 to 15 years ago. We were really ramping up our sustainable agriculture, our farm, and really there was a ton of funds out there. There was just a lot of grants, and it becomes one of those things that you need to look at the capacity of your organization, your staff, and it's not always great to just chase all of these different grants, whether it might be $1,000 grant, 10,000, $1 million. Again, looking at the capacity of what you can do, because each time you do that, each time you apply for a new grant, you're again having to do that. There's additional work to it. There's all the reporting, there's all the tracking, there's the budget piece. And so again, that goes back to your staff. And so really having the plan, having that strategy for how
Mm.
your organization will move forward in those increments, that 1 year, the 3 year, the 5 year, that's really crucial then to really look at, what funds are we going to apply for? And we don't want to chase money. And so does this make the most sense for our organization? So really um, having done the grant writing for a couple years now, we just see the importance of the strategic plan and how that can really assist the organization. So that's kind of why we decided to start this class and this program and offer it.
Sure. Okay. Now this is a multi-day class. It's 4 sessions from 8:30 to 12:30. And Ariga, maybe you could walk us through what each day will cover and how this course is broken up.
Thank you. So this is a 4-session class, a course, and each session is a 4-hour session. So overall will be 16 hours. And those participants who complete the course will receive 1 credit with LC Ojibwe University. And the first session, we will talk about introduction to strategic planning, understanding what organizations, how to assess an organization, how to assess the situation. Sometimes, and I will kind of go back to this number 1 point because this is important to know. The second session would be identifying how to identify and provide the practices and information and tool and kind of walk the participants through the exercises. How do you identify the mission,
Sure.
vision, and values of the organization? The third session would be SWOT analysis. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. How do we do that? How do we come up, what would be that brainstorming exercise within the organization, and how to make that assessment, so analysis, how to make that analysis. So not only people come up with what ideas they may have, but how to analyze those ideas, okay, how to
Okay.
prioritize. And then identification of goals and come up with action plans. That would be in session number 4. So identification of goals would be kind of based off of the SWOT analysis, understanding, okay, what are our priorities right now? How do we move forward as an organization? Usually people come up, staff come up with a lot of goals, and we have to prioritize. Sometimes it involves a voting process within the organization. And how do we address those goals? How do we do that? How do we move forward with those prioritized goals? Some goals go on the back burner sometimes, and they can come back. People, when staff and organization want to update their strategic plan, they can come back and say, okay, we had these goals as an opportunity. Is this something urgent that we need to address? So that's why it helps the organization stay on track to their commitment to accomplish what they need to do, and not usually be pushed by stakeholders, partners, or even sometimes new board members join the organization. They may have new ideas, but it's important to stick to what the process was. Say if they had a strategic plan done 2 or
Right.
5 years ago, so that it doesn't change together with new board members or new people coming to the organization. It keeps that stability.
Yeah.
Um,
Consistency. Yeah.
Yes, a little bit coming back towards the point number 1, when usually organization ask to do strategic plan, sometimes there is some emergency or some kind of critical situation within the organization. This is when they think, oh, we need an external person who would come and help us to identify our goals,
Mhm.
us on track, and review the strategic plan. Sometimes those situations could be conflict situations. So conflict or new board members that have new agenda, or new people or staff, or if there is even staffing situation within the organization, going back to what the original goals of the organizations are and how to accomplish those is what would be the backbone of the organization to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I know from my own personal experience being on a board of a couple of organizations here in the Hayward area and working on a community business as well, just having that strategic plan in place along with a mission statement and all the other technical stuff that you have to have, that really helps with, like you said, the board of directors and what they're able to follow as a roadmap for the organization.
Yes, and sorry, I didn't mention the time. The time will be, so the dates are April 17, 24, 26, and May 1st. And the course is from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the virtual course, but will be stationed here at the LC Ojibwe University.
Oh, okay. So this is an online virtual course being offered, and if people want to register for this, they have to go to the website. It is called sawyer.extension.wisc.edu. And I guess there's a phone number here too, 715-638-3295. And that's your phone number, right, Agria?
Yes, this is my phone number. I will be helping with the registration, but registration, the link is extension, but the registration is through the LC Ojibwe University. So there will be, Amber, do you want to say this two-step process?
Yes, there is a two-step process. So the first thing that they'd want to do is go to that website and just provide the information that they're interested, and then they'll receive
okay.
a follow-up email just to complete the registration. So it is a one. They do earn one academic credit through Lakota Ojibwe University, and so that is transcripted. So we just have to go through and do a little additional registration. Just it's one form, and then they turn that back into me.
Sure. Okay. Well, awesome, ladies. Thank you for putting this together. And it sounds really great. I actually wish I could attend personally, but I'm still on the air at 8:30 in the morning. So I'll have to watch the video afterwards, or maybe you'll do an afternoon evening course in the future.
That's a great idea. Possibility, yes.
Well, Agria and Amber, thank you so much for joining us here on WOJB and talking about, again, the strategic planning course that you'll be doing here coming up starting April 17th. We appreciate your continued support of the local community and the businesses and organizations with these types of courses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
All right. Take care.
Rich.
Bye-bye.
And that was, again, Amber Marlowe from the Lakota Ojibwe